Ever wish that you can experience driving a bathtub in a straight line next to your best friend? Do you really wonder if a drag-tuned car like the Nissan GTR R35 or even the McLaren F1 would have different kind of four-line straight speed contests? The answer is the Bugatti Veyron 16.4, a car that is meant to top against the highest production car speed at the time was McLaren F1. It has 8.0-liter W16 engine with 4 turbochargers that is the heart and soul of the Veyron, at which initially 987 horsepower and an incredible 1,183 horsepower in later models, if you assume you're more of a horsepower person than PS kind of thing. What's the unfortunate downside is the understeer. Why is that? This is because of how heavy it is, with 1,838 to 1,990 kilograms, as well as the braking takes longer distance. The worst offender here is the complex circuit, where the severity of the Veyron understeer truly shine. Obviously, the only way a Veyron can be used on track where it lacks corners, it's often used in straight lines. It can be especially true for oval, but I doubt that the Veyron weight understeer can deal with turning left via sputting out. Oh, well. Let's try it again in the next footage, since this one has TCS 5 before I realized that I left it off. So rather pushing the limits, if I know the danger, I decided to change it to TCS 0 in the next footage. Then this is what the right turn oval from Special Stage Route X responded. Embarrassingly, I decided to go for the 2009 year model Veyron, which since then I bought the 2013 year model Veyron, tuned it to make a very specific straight lines. That's why I only show you the stock Veyron driving like normal, except at the second turn in Route X. That bump on the turn 2 barrier costed my valid time. I would prefer to do it again, but not really at this point. So let's hop into Gran Turismo 6 and try to get the feeling of the Bugatti Veyron 16.4, whether the year is 09 or 13. What follows is the unscripted footage. And then a scripted footage during the replay later, probably.
Now, this may interest you because assuming that you're as a kid and your dream car, since this was released, is a Bugatti Veyron, you maybe thought that this Veyron, and probably the other Veyron, can beat any car regardless of how old it was. But the weight it downsides is just what it draws back, and that's why it's just making it become as a usual drag race kind of thing. Now, unfortunately, the issue is that because of this 1,888 kilograms, it's more likely to understeer, and even the braking is not likely willing to get back together. It's no wonder why most kids dream about it without even knowing what's the downside of it, because most kids that dream of this Veyron and anything else, it's because they're not aware of the handlings or even the basic road safety right now, such as the lanes and giving a passway, unless you're living in the live in a country where you get a license, you drive regardless of danger or not. And the attitude of me first, though, sort of like stuff like that. But from the other hand, and this length and width should make up for it. But how would that make sense in Mount Panorama? As well as this power of 987 horsepower that can rough it up to like one basic sort of circuit that isn't that complicated. You know, the Ascari racetrack, which is where it becomes a worse offender here. That makes the other hard license tests look like a saint. And easier, perhaps, according to your view. Probably like the IA-15 on Gran Turismo 4 onwards, but not onwards right there. Though, I will give this a Veyron 16.409 a try at the Mount Panorama. Here we go. Oh, here we go. This first corner here from the beginning. Now keep in mind this is on sports hard, so that means that the Veyron is more likely to struggle in between turns and stuff like that. And even the acceleration couldn't help the sports hard though. Now I would love to buy a racing tires and soft so that to compensate for the Veyron's handling capacity. It's more likely to just spin out if you make one mistake on one certain corner here. Which, to my knowledge, it's more like, hello, are you awake? You're not awake, aren't you? But, isn't that true? It's just saying like, trying to steer a Veyron on the sports hard is an equivalent of trying to walk on ice without ice skating. Any knowledge on ice skating, which I have, but sort of. Not so hard, but thankfully it's a little bit of damage here. Well now the second turn at the Mount Panorama, and I did brake a little bit earlier because this is the reason for the long braking distance here. Now what comes next is the short... Oh god. Yeah, that's the understeer. Now what comes next is the fact that you have to brake really early unless you tune it up so fast that you're more likely to just brake it in and out. And then suddenly you forget your memory. Oh god. Well, there goes the time. Now anyway, there is another corner that you're more likely to understeer. And the most funniest thing ever is due to the weight and the fact that the braking takes longer. The suggested gear number just tells you that you're supposed to brake earlier, and that's what makes it a little bit worse for the Veyron here. That if you just drive really fast, and you're gonna have issues braking here, because if you try brake a little bit later than just way earlier, the Veyron says no, you cannot. You're gonna crash into it head first, and you're probably gonna die. So aside from the longer braking distance and the understeer that you're more likely to hit again over and over, which I did 2 times in a row, that is not gonna help either. It's more likely they're gonna have an ability to empty your bank account. If you're a retired man or a woman or whatever you are, and then willing to spend all your money on it, or unless you're a celebrity that's getting paid $1 million every month or something, I don't know, but maybe sponsor is a key so far. And I've been hitting barriers more often than not. My god. this is the new level of getting a false lies. Being told that the Veyron's the fastest as a kid is like being told a Ford Fiesta is the best handling car ever. Actually, that was like any applies to like any understeering cars that you can drive right there. But you gotta get the point. Oh god. See, yeah, I can't. The Veyron does not like this corner at all. Now, back at it again. Now here's the funny part about like the lack of arrows, that the spoilers, despite the fact that the active wing can activate downforce, it's gonna like if there's any like bumps or whatever, or like ramps, tiny ramps here, this straight lane here, you're gonna more likely like jump out and then spin off, like a little bit of maniac here. For once, it tells you like it matters, but it wouldn't matter. Or at least very once. Now, just a note. I take the Veyron to the Daytona, and that unlike the Special State Group X, it's just not that well versatile into like the minuscule left turn oval. Oh god. Well, almost all the laps is just me trying to brake. Pretty sooner, I guess. The understeer is not gonna help at all. Oh! Ah! Now, of course, I cannot make a lap that is valid enough, except the Special State Route X that's willing to be verified as a valid lap that I can make. Also, the funny quirk of the Veyron, aside from the engine and all of the horsepower and how heavy it is, that it's the fact that you're likely going to get more puff of smoke than ever. Oh god, not again! I still failed this corner here. Oh my lord! You're gonna get more puff of smoke when you're trying really hard to fight the Veyron into turning what you wanted instead of what they wanted. That's how hard it is to turn the Veyron.
While driving through the first turn to the next straight, I was thinking about the Veyron's luxurious interior. Despite how obvious the beige it was, it basically said that it's the same material for every luxury cars, but you can prefer a Mercedes-Benz either way. Nonetheless, you can say the same for the Lexus. Unfortunately, Veyron's understeer still would never shine. Also, probably overpraised from just speed.
I mean, the interior is nice and all. It was like pretty luxurious and all, but still, I'm not sure if you can handle it. It's fine on the road traffic or something. I mean, sure, you can get some attention here as well, but I wonder if people bother at all. Only pretty sure like I don't want to ruin like my kid's dream of like wanting a Veyron, but maybe let them grow up and then realize that Veyron is hard to steer. But not the people who still refuse to believe the Veyron handles pretty bad. Oh. If I want, like, in any other understeering car, I would personally want it to get at least a BMW E46, tune it to, like, make it understeer so that way that I would like it to just turn it harder and see if there's any new competition that makes the Veyron looks like the best steering car ever.
Eventually though, at the third last corner of the Mount Panorama, I managed to overcome the brake early part after my thoughts about not making the lap time valid for my Veyron, which at final last, I feel like we're going back to the garage. However, I got a little bit overconfident.
Yeah, I took the turn properly here. Thank God. This is actually the good valid lap. Oh, fuck. Well, at least I make a lap.
Still, could be worse.
Oh! Well, not to be confused with the performance difference between the 2013 and 2009 model of the Veyron, I can certainly prove that while it's capable, this, however, can be only in simple circuits. As long as you don't push the Veyron to the limit, you can certainly be fine. But the Ascari unfortunately proved that wrong, because you're forced to fight it rather than let it naturally, as it was seen in the Mount Panorama. While I certainly did manage to let some to capacity, there are still mistakes that you can marginally found, which of course I cannot brake early if I was like a little bit distracted on like shifting properly or not. So that's to be frank with the Veyron. And yes, you can take this as a road trip drive to like somewhere in a cross country so that you can win over your friends while taking the plane, so that they somehow managed to like mess it up and then they found you that you're drinking at the pub after a whole long travel here through in the Veyron, which surely enough. But while Mount Panorama does prove these issues, and same with the others, and even Daytona just pretty didn't agree with it, except the special stage route X, which is certainly feels alright in comparison. The Ascari proves it wrong. And while I can take the S5 license test to do that, but I wanted to actually prove it on the own Veyron that I've bought for, instead of just driving it in a license test, so that I can do it, so that you probably don't have to, unless that you're willing to do it just so that you can get gold on S5, which I feel sorry for you who just managed to went through this at same level as the other Gran Turismo license tests, but hopefully you managed to went through the pain. That's all I can say. Now, on the other hand, with the Ascari part, let's head over it to it anyway. Now the challenge here on this track is that you should make one valid lap without messing it up. And both of these test tracks that I've done is purely on TCS 0 for speedy reasons and for the sake of proving that it's capable, just that it lacks. Ooh! See, that's why nobody likes it. You had to fight for it. So this is basically the track that is not good for the Veyron, and I had to take it easily here, which thankfully I don't have to do it in the S5 though, which actually happened for the sake of preserving my sanity and hating this big heavy understeer. And even if you just purchase the weight downside, or actually making it lighter, it still understeers. And yeah, I went off the track, but at least I didn't hit the barrier, so that the lap time doesn't count. But it's also not a license here, so I can just make a lap time, and I can make a valid lap time as I want, as long as it's not like off the track here or something. Oh fuck! Well, it could be worse. It's not off on the grass at least. I'm pretty paranoid about every corner. And if you tell many people after using the Veyron once, assuming that they've played this or any other that features Veyron that is also prone to understeer because of how heavy it is, and you tell them like what they think of it, they tell you it is a bathtub. Like, it's exactly driving like a bathtub. Oh, here we go. It seems like I'm very unlikely to complete this challenge where I have to make one valid lap without running off the course here. This track proves that the Veyron isn't good for complicated tracks though. And I don't know what someone else is thinking about it. They want to make people feel like they're psychopaths for nothing. Oh, not again. Oh. No. I still had to let go of the acceleration pad this time. And I had to be paranoid of every corner, even if it's just letting go of the accelerator. It just proves that it only works in the most simple track ever. My god. This is what kids that dream about never heard about the dark side of the Veyron. And even if you tell them that the Veyron sucks at steering properly, they still don't believe it. They just still think that Veyron is good regardless. So that's the equivalent of saying like the car that it looks simple and dull. Oh, aside from the performance, and yet it's overrated, and they still refuse to believe that it's all. Oh! Still refuse to believe that it's overrated, and it's like only not dull if it just looked like that, or you customize it or whatever. I don't know.
At this point, I feel like there's so many things to hate about this car and track combo that I run out of things to say, which end result for the rest of the challenge is a simple yet quiet frustration in hopes of making one valid lap time.
Oh, not again.
Or so what I thought it was.
No. Oh no. Brakes. That last pair of the turn here, just the worst offender for the brakes here. Not again. Oh wait, maybe. Thank God. But just let that sink in. The 2013 Veyron model still has the same problems as the 2009 Veyron. Just don't pretend that despite the model trim being slightly different, don't pretend that the performance is still different. It's the Veyron. It just has the word Veyron. You expect the same thing, just slightly different model trim. Because I don't see anything different apart from the colors. Probably. Oh! At least I didn't go off the course now. Now let me tell you lads, as if you're the person that grew up with cars and learn about cars over the time, you may know that this car, and maybe in the top 10 worst understeer cars ever, this might be in your top one of the worst cars that you can drive as being the understeer. Well, I think I can make it. I think I can make it. I can make additional second lap and 2-second lap for like compensation for this mess that I had to make. So I had to play really slow for this. There it is! There it is! Yes! Oh my god! I think I can make it through! I can make a lap! Valid lap! Thankfully, I can make a perfect valid lap! Still not perfect, but I'm gonna admit that there. I'm gonna make another for the sake of like additional talking here. And we're off! 2:21. And then on the other is left leaving the course in the second lap. Oh well. Oh, not again. Now, just to let you know, before I leave it off with like the next pass. Saying that the Veyron beats everything is like saying DeLorean and has no problems or no controversy because it's a Back to the Future car. What people think DeLoreans is just a time traveler's car other than just a drug dealer car? Whoa. Now, on the other hand, note is that if you like S5 for just the Veyron, you're a psychopath. Like an actual psychopath, that's all. Like who anyone think in the minds willing to like Veyron in the most complicated track other than just actually difficult license tests that you will never beat very often as a kid. And there's going to be a few marginal errors and the lawn cutting or mowing or whatever that I had to do in the Veyron just so I can please people that I do not like this at all. While there are similar competition like the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 1 to 5 or 9 or whatever you'd say, but I assume that we're stuck with the 3 from the very least in the beginning. All I can take is that the drivetrain and the aspiration were exactly the same. 4-wheel drive, turbo, etc. Of course. But the difference here is that depending on what Evo you're looking for example the Evo 5, GSR 1998, you're gonna notice that the weight here is 1,360 kilograms. And if you combine it with like at least 3 weight down upgrades, you can make it feel like an oversteer kind of car, minus the weight distribution that you can take from rear or front, depending on how you feel. Because this one is more likely known from everyone else for a very specific color and a very specific music. Which I don't know why, but people still like the yellow color, dandelion yellow specifically. But aside from the dandelion yellow, what we're gonna say is that the weight can trump the Veyron, which as long as it can steer properly and probably not too fast, but still has to be fast to make sure that it's more competitive against the Veyron in terms of how upgraded it is, because well, expensive stock versus the cheap cars can do the trick with the upgrades. It still trumps in comparison. So I've already bought the Evo 8 MRGSR 2004 for the sake of demonstrating that any other similar cars that can rival against the Veyron, even if their drivetrain aspiration is similar to the Veyron, it can trump it as long as you don't make many mistakes, and it can be very helpful if you can make it a little bit more lighter, so that it can just makes the Veyron owners prove that they managed to screw it up. Because weight over power cannot do the trick, but I say the power with some heavier weight can cause a little bit of an issue, but it's just the intentional design. But otherwise, what would be the point? But just a side note is that I've already took a spoiler on the filming behind the scenes. Is that I was done with the I was done with the Veyron, so that I can just finally at least drive the Evo and then sell the Veyron, 2 Veyrons later, because I'm sick of it. Anyway, back to the Mount Panorama. Now, technically, from the very beginning, I did feel a little bit different from driving the Evo 8 compared to the Veyron. Is that it feels smoother, aside from the reasonable power that it got onto it. This rally here just tells me that anything the stock one with no TCS can do the wonders. From the very point of view that people are gonna say, like 1 point and then another, is that they prove it wrong. As much as there's some people make jokes about people using any Japanese cars and then improving them with exterior modification and thinking they're fast with it, I say that I wanna admire like some details here that can also stomp on the Veyron, that just says to be a likelihood of there's a bump, but a likelihood of like making the Veyron feels like a bathtub, unlike the other similar cars that has a similar specs. It's like just slightly different. But ignoring the mistakes here is that the Evo 8 and any other Evo can trump it up that on the Veyron, that the stock Veyron against the max upgrade rated Evo can still deal with the Veyron. And this here is still stock, so I can still do the trick here, but I was told for myself that I probably said that I realized, but said again, that I was yet to told that in the future, after making this scenery, I will have to do the little bit of challenge here and the time comparison between the stock expensive supercars versus the cheap used cars with the most of the upgrades that was slapped on, because we feel like, yeah, it should definitely work. Oh no, it's just tells you like that's a no. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some amount of laps, regardless of what it feels like, and I'm gonna make a conclusion that the Veyron is not for people who's looking for to making the car steer properly. Even if you like upgrade the Veyron to like make it customizable and then like try to like adjust the suspension so many times and lower the weight down, it still cannot go far as possible, unfortunately. Oh, of course, the same barrier bump again. You could have noticed in the replay that you may see some like front damage though, funnily enough. And another here. So the only issue is that with any Evos, even if it's a little bit lighter, that it can understeer to some extent, but not to the level of the Veyron. Thankfully, because it's actually the horsepower of like 274 or 84 if you like bought it, if it's like if the dealership lied to you, is that, oh god, is that when you put yourself in the reasonable horsepower with a reasonable weight, it should at least make sense. Aside from the little bit of mistakes that I may have made a fair too often. Maybe because I turned the steering wheel or the joystick a little bit too soft on the Evo 8. But nonetheless, it can still trump the Veyron as long as it's fine. Yeah. And it looks like I should have beaten my own time though, just yet. So I come to a conclusion on the driving, the Evo 8, is that the Veyron is everyone's dream car as a kid, probably around 2000s, I'm not sure. But when you did try it, it does have problems. Especially if you're more likely to know that the worst offender on a complex circuit in the understeerable heavy bathtub, that does not help at all. And if you if you do not compare the power towards the Veyron and anything else, you're more likely to realize that judging the cars by just only speed does not help. Judging cars by anything can help. But what will be next if you just judge the Koenigsegg? I don't know. It's just a race car without the modification here, probably. That had to take multiple test drives and hopefully that it doesn't crash at least once. But I've yet to say the full conclusion here after we're in the middle of the drive here, because I just said it short for people who's not willing to listen. The fuse is so short that they're just getting a little bit upset that the Veyron just actually sucks. But unless they don't have no rights to defend it because they know that it sucks, then it's alright, because the LFA is just a Supra, but expensive and doesn't have cup holders. I don't know what they're thinking here. They're telling me, like, if I was the person that's willing to put cup holders on the Lexus LFA, I'm gonna tell them that just give them a coffee. Like, give them a coffee and see if it has sugar on it, and tell them that it's just a Supra. And it makes Mark IV Supra looks better than the LFA, and that is not great. That it completely trumps them off. Oh god. I've almost turned into a rally car. Anyway, on the other hand of disappointment, let's back to the garage. So, fast but heavy, but also understeer. This can apply to like other cars that has this kind of sort of unique feature. Just sorts of unique feature, I'd say. Now, because of this, you're gonna be better off with that and with the other. They're slightly slower but more stable enough to steer. Because like the Evo 8 that I show you, but what I'm saying is that 2 million credits does not worth it in comparison to the other. There's better, cheaper options here. Even if you want to blow your bank account away for this, or your virtual bank account away for this, you're still better off with just not owning this unless you're willing to suffer like me. So because of that, after recording in this kind of shot and talking about my overall conclusion, I am going to sell both of these off for the sake of like keeping my sanity away. But like I said, I can only still buy these if I feel like I want to take it for like a little bit of test trip though. Even still, these two Veyrons will haunt me back after doing these. And even still, it can still be your dream car if you just manage to make it through. But I as one would rather dream having a Volkswagen Golf, because technically a Bugatti was owned by Volkswagen. Is it? Oh yeah, probably not. But it just owns like 4 groups and that's it. But you should be better off owning a Lamborghini than just a Bugatti Veyron, because most kids dream about Lamborghini, but it's better but this one is just a definition of be careful what you dream for and be careful what you wish for. And then if you manage to own one and then you take it to the racetrack, congratulations, you managed to lie to yourself. Unlike the DeLorean here, you just like. You wanna know what's funny here? It's like one time I saw a comment about someone selling all the cars in the garage just to buy the DeLorean in a Gran Turismo 5 used car dealership, and somehow they managed to get lied. Like, what kind of desperation is that? There's no money making races that you can do in Gran Turismo 5, unlike Gran Turismo 6 though. That just still makes it slightly better though, but nonetheless, it's a little bit disappointing here. But now, one hilarious downside from comparing Gran Turismo 6 to Gran Turismo 5 is that in Veyron, however, it's just a PSP low quality model though, because well, they don't have enough time to ported to a high polish and a premium quality though, which here is what I've been seeing the most. So that's the only thing I feel happy about the Veyron aside from the speed, but nonetheless I still hate how understeery it was. So for my overall stars in Gran Turismo 6 terms is that I'll rate it like 2 stars out of 3, or maybe I don't know, like 7.5 stars out of 10, because it was great, but it's not even great for steering. So I mean, while some of you love the Veyron, I may well just let you have fun though. I'm not gonna stop you just because I hate this one now, because it's my least favorite, because Need for Speed lied to me. So, as well as some of you who got the cars wrong that may lie to you as well. So, just try to look at the perception between the real one. So, even in real life, people who does often complain about the downside of the Veyron, that it's understeer. Like, I heard that the Veyron Super Sport fixes the understeer issue just a little bit. So either way, I guess that's what it is about the Veyron. So now let me tell you all that this is all I can tell you about the Veyron, and that should be all about this review. And I might say it's all good from the Veyron. And what I should better enjoy off is a cheaper one. But hey, I guess the Veyron should be the best for the expensive stock car. But at the same time, you're gonna make a race in against the cheap used cars with some upgrades, or maybe most of the upgrades that you can have. Now, on that end of this review, it seems like there's a new experimental series coming up, and that might have meant GT Motorsport. What does that mean? No idea, but you may find in the future, yes. Anyway, that should be for this right now, and I might see you all in the separate times in the new experimental web series coming up. Bye!